Welcome, everybody. This is the DVMUG Zoom meeting. It's September 10th, 2024. We have a lot of news. In case you didn't know, yesterday Apple released a whole bunch of stuff. And the videos, these titles of the videos are all related to that kind of stuff. And we will have opportunity for plenty of Q&A and comments because these videos only take up about 30 minutes. So go ahead to the the news list. Look, go forward, please. There we go. This is the list of news. All related to yesterday, pretty much. Here we go. iPhone 16 and 16 Pro was released. Announced yesterday. It's shipping, I think it's pre-order on Friday and shipping on the 20th, something like that. The links to these news articles and the videos are all in the chat right now. They're also on the BBS in the meeting link. And you can download them if you want to read this article. The link's here in the article. Comments and questions about the iPhone 16. Anybody, everybody got muted, so if you want to say something, go ahead.
I was wondering, but isn't there a 16 Pro Max? I guess there's not. Why not?
There's 16 Pro, 16 Max, well, 16, 16 Max, 16 Pro, and 16 Pro Max, right?
Well, I don't have only seen the Pro, but I haven't heard of the Max.
There's two different sizes, and there's a Pro and a regular and two different sizes. They're basically, the sizes are the same, I think. There's just the Pro has more stuff.
No, the size of the Pro Max is slightly bigger than the 15 Pro Max. It's
Well, the
grown
screens aren't the same size. Oh yeah, I think you're right.
The screen is 0.2 of an inch bigger diagonally, which should be almost infinitesimal, really.
Yeah, if you want to know the details, go and read the article. We won't go over all the details, but they are coming. And anybody else got comments, questions?
Yeah, I have a question.
Yes.
Am I right that the AI is not installed in the phone, that you're buying the phone with the AI to be downloaded later?
My understanding is iOS is going to come out next Monday for everybody, iOS 17. AI is not going to be included in the first release.
Right, that's what I just wanted to confirm that's right.
Yeah, the AI will be added in the 0.1 release
next month. Yeah. Right. It's in the beta now, but that's in the release version, no. So you got to wait a month. Okay. Now, they didn't mention this in the keynote, but there's faster wireless charging available and new MagSafe chargers. And you can only get the faster charger with the faster charging with the new chargers. They never mentioned that in the keynote that I remember. There is also new cases, which they didn't mention. Fine woven is gone, except for a few minor things. They're all silicone plastic now. And they have the stuff built in for the phones, like the touch for the camera button and the MagSafe magnet and all that kind of stuff. That's all in the silicone case. And one of them is clear. So that's kind of they didn't mention that they dropped fine woven, which is pretty much was a disaster.
There was a picture in one of the articles you posted that shows the various colors and cases.
Yeah.
And
I'm sure
it looked like not all of them have pass-through charging.
Right. I didn't look at what all the different cases do. But there is an article about it with pictures and all the details available. New watch, Series 10, larger displays, and it's thinner. It actually has a larger display than the Ultra, which is pretty strange. And the Ultra did not get upgraded except for a new color. So there's also, I don't pay attention much to the watch. Anybody got more news about the watch?
Basically, the 10th generation, one of the actually a lot of the things that they're adding are things that are part of iOS 18. So that
Right.
means most of us are already going to get them. But a couple of things about the watch itself, the 10th generation is basically a redesign.
Right.
It's not the same form factor that it's always been. And the screen is actually now a little bit larger than the screen is on the Ultra.
Right.
And it's also a little bit thinner.
Right.
But and of course, and another thing too is they don't make a stainless steel version anymore. They've replaced that with titanium,
Right.
which
Well,
should make it a whole lot lighter.
Yeah. And I didn't put in the news, all kinds of new bands. I think the bands still fit retroactively to the other ones, but there's new bands, new color finishes to go with
Has
them.
anything been resolved about the
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 oximeter.
blood oxy? Is
Yeah.
that back in the
No.
watch or not?
No, they didn't mention that.
I believe it is back in the watch.
The pulse oximeter,
I believe so. That
the
they
blood oxygen monitors, that's back in? Okay.
No,
believe so.
no, they didn't mention that. They would have said that, right?
They would have said, that's what I was wondering, because that was a big deal.
I didn't hear anyway one or the other, but if it was back in, you would think you would hear about it.
You'd think, yeah, okay, thanks.
One of the things I think I heard was they were going to do this, the checking for sleep apnea,
That's coming up in the news.
Yes.
Stand by.
Okay.
but on
so-
the watch, right?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll move on to the next. I think
So hang on one second. So the according to TechCrunch, that the oxygen detection won't be available on the Series 10.
I'm sure the hardware's in there. They're still waiting to resolve whether they can turn it back on someday. They developed their own software. Okay, so this is the next story is, yes, sleep apnea detection in the Watch Series 10, and it also works on the Series 9 and the Ultra 2. You'll have to wait until the FDA approves it. So it's not going to be in the release version, but it will be coming, hopefully, very soon, along with another feature we'll talk about shortly, which is also waiting approval.
The thing about that is that this is really a workaround for the lack of an oximeter, a pulse oximeter, because tracking your blood oxygen is actually a better way, I think, to track sleep apnea than they're hoping to find a different way to do it by checking micro movements of your wrist.
They did make a big deal out of it. Of
So if you have an older watch
two health
that
issues,
with
this being one of them.
Well, if you're on a CPAP machine, what difference does it make? That's going to track that for you.
well, I noticed that if I use my CPAP or not, I can see a difference in my blood oxygen level in the watch.
I think they showed off the software. They have more extensive software to graph it and detect and all these things you can monitor. Okay. AirPods 4 upgrade. Minor AirPods refresh. The Pros over the head, they didn't change. New color and USB-C. Basically, not an upgrade. The AirPod Pro 2 still exists. continues on. The other two AirPods were replaced with one model, AirPods 4, with two options. One, no noise cancellation, and for $50 more, noise cancellation, which is a first for the non-pros. So they're all new. Everything now is USB-C connection on everything. So they are new. They different. They start at 129 and then 179. The pros still go for 249. But Amazon has the pros in the Apple store on Amazon for 189. So the thing is, what the next story is going to say, this is, I think, one of the major stories is hearing aid capacity. They're putting hearing aid capacity in the AirPod Pros, 2s only, not in the lower ones. It's free. It's a software update, so it's in the current models. It will be coming out. It's also not available yet. It needs FDA approval, so that hopefully is coming soon. So there will be new AirPod Pro, whatever they call them, 3 or 4 next year. Who knows what other health things they will do with that? Probably more stuff like, measure your temperature through your ear and other kinds of things, your heartbeat, all kinds of things, their rumor is. So, comments, questions about this? There's what it's going to do is, we're going to watch a video later about this. It's a pretty big deal. They will do a hearing test like you do with the audiologist, record your graph, and apply that to everything on the AirPods, watching TV, listening to the phone, listening to conversations. It will custom apply that, what your hearing test was, to the whole thing all the time. So that's basically what you do when you go get hearing aids. But I got to tell you, I have hearing aids and I have AirPod Pros, and the hearing aid quality sound sucks. It's ridiculous. The AirPod Pros so much better. So the main thing the difference to me is the AirPod Pros, these last about Zoom meeting or 3 hours, 4 hours. The hearing aids last all day.
John, where did you get your hearing aids?
I got them from the county on Medicare, Medi-Cal.
Because I got mine from Costco, and I got to tell you, I've not had a problem with them ever.
They're basically the same kind of things. I got to tell you, the software for them on the phone is the worst software I have ever seen on the phone, bar none. You constantly have to force quit the app to get it to reconnect all the time, constantly. It's ridiculous. It's terrible. And the sound quality, if I try to use them and listen to the speakers coming out of the computer, it sounds like doo-doo. Or the AirPod directly to the computer, Bluetooth, or the Apple TV sounds good.
Yeah, I've been waiting for this for years of my hearing, and the hearing aids, like you say, John, they just don't play music or anything good.
No, you can't listen to anything like that with hearing aids. But so what I'm thinking is if they can do the hearing test and apply that graph to the AirPods, it should make a huge difference. We'll see. You can order them. And Amazon, they don't have a 30-day return. They have I think 2-week return, so you can try them. See. But the hearing aid function of software is not coming, they say, in the fall. So we don't know when it's going to be approved. So there you go. Comments, questions, next story? Move on. This is the story of just an announcement that all versions of all the OSs, everything next Monday will release. Sequoia is coming next Monday. They never mentioned the word Sequoia in the keynote. This is that. So, but everything else never mentioned the TV or Vision OS. So that's all coming. HomePod, the whole shebang. So look for that next Monday. These are the supported devices. iOS 18, the phones. Those are what's supported. I think that's pretty much what's supported now. The X is currently not supported for 17. That's what I have, but the XR is. So I think this is the same list.
Yes, it is.
Exactly. The other lists are quite slightly different. They're dropping some iPads. So this is what's currently supported in 18. I think they dropped a few. Watch. I think they dropped a few off the watch. I think that's the end of the news. Yeah, comments about the news, anything about the keynote? How many people watched the keynote? Or
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
you can
All
watch
hour
it.
and 40 minutes of it.
You can watch it later. It's still available everywhere on YouTube, Apple site. You can watch it. There, one of these, the very first video is from Apple. Actually, there's first three are from Apple, and one is a 3-minute review of the what is an hour and 40-minute keynote, and then one about the hearing aid, which they did in the keynote. It's pretty short, and then a pretty long one, 4-minute, almost 5 minutes of Apple Intelligence, which they got. A lot of people don't know what that is. So it's kind of a rehash of the key when they did that at the keynote, explain what it is, what's coming, what it's going to do, and all that. And then a pretty good one from Rich about it's appropriate when you should upgrade your phone. And one from Gary about how to find what's new after a macOS update, which is coming Monday. So here we go. First video. These links are available in the download in the chat or on the BBS. Here we go. All right, that was a pretty good little summary. Comments, questions? Anybody's muted? You can unmute yourself.
My favorite adjective from the keynote was Tim Cook describing the new iPhones as more delightful.
Yeah. In case you didn't see it, all the presenters were remote in locations around San Francisco. It was pretty amazing.
I was struck, as I'm always struck in these keynotes, that they all have the same hand gestures as they're talking. And everyone except for the lady doing the photo section, every single one of them had not an ounce of body fat on them. I was beginning to wonder whether they were all AI clones.
They're all well trained and well selected.
Well, they get to when they do these recorded things, they're all practice. When they used to live, they bring them up on stage, and it's like that must have been a huge rehearsal hassle, and they get much more stuff crammed in the meeting. They just cut. It's very well done.
Regarding the size of those people, I think there was a lot of AI involved in there.
I have the same reaction that they all look like robots, and I kept thinking,
when I noticed
the difference between them and Steve Jobs.
When they showed a video, which I didn't, that's all available on YouTube, like they're commercials, I think, that are going to be on TV of people using the iPhone and talking about real fast clips about all these things. There was all kinds of different sizes of people and lots of people handicapped and doing people of color, wide people, all kinds. It was everything all over the place.
That's true.
Didn't
Maybe
you see
that was to offset the robotic sameness of all the presenters.
Yeah, it was wild.
I wonder if they all go through hand gesture training before this.
I'm sure they must be coached on that. Must
right?
be.
Okay, any more comments about all that stuff? We'll move on to the next one.
So I'm still unclear. So there's not a new AirPods Pro, is that right?
There is not a there's two new ones. They're just called AirPod 4s. They're both called the same thing, or you can get one with noise cancellation. The AirPod Pro 2 has been out for years, is not changing. Next year you'll get a new one, but it's the one that gets the hearing aids via software update sometime this year in the fall.
Okay.
So does the AirPod Pro have active noise cancellation?
Absolutely.
Okay.
The AirPod Pros have sealing things they give you, different sizes that actually seal your ears. The AirPod 4 does the noise cancellation. It does not have different sealing things. No, it doesn't. I'm sure it's not as good.
So that's why they added the active noise cancellation as an option.
Yeah, we'll see. Okay, we'll go on. See the next one. This explains the feature of the AirPod Pro 2 that's coming, the software update. This is part of the keynote. Yeah, they also will require iOS 18 to do the hearing test, and probably the control of the AirPods. Okay, we kind of already went over that, but that sort of explains what they're doing. Comments, questions, next video? We'll move on. This is Craig, what is it? I can't pronounce his last name. He does a lot of the stuff on the keynotes, and this explains Apple Intelligence. You may have seen most of this before from the WWDC this summer, but it's coming out soon, so here we go. Who's doing this at, everybody knows that is, pals. There you go. Get ready for the brave new world.
Some of that is already available through the betas.
Right, but that won't be out Monday. I just got to wait till 18.1, right?
Yes,
But you'll continue on the beta track. You'll still have it.
the image generation ones have not come yet, but all the text processing and summarizing, all of that's already available.
That's probably what's going to be in 18.1.
Yeah.
But it may take the rest till next WWDC to get it all in there. It's going to roll out every point upgrade, and Sequoia is going to have new Apple Intelligence stuff going on all year. Okay, comments, questions? Nobody's excited about this, huh?
It's a lot of information.
We're excited.
Just
You're going to have a new phone to do this. It's only going to run on the Pros, right?
Well, it'll run on all the new 16s and the 15 Pros.
15 Pro and all the 16s, yeah. So
It'll also run on any iPad that has an M processor.
right, or any
processors it won't.
Well, it's going to run on a lot of Macs from the last 4 years.
All of the M Macs.
Right, so it's going to run on a lot of Macs.
So M1, so M iPads too, but not A processors.
Right. All the way back to the one that we have at the office, the M1 Mac Mini, the first one. That's now, what, 4 years old? Okay. Okay, before we go to that, they didn't mention, I didn't put in an article about this, but all the rumors said what didn't show up, okay? Nothing about iPads, nothing about M4 iMac or Mac Mini. Rumors are heavy that everybody knows what that's going to be. Traditionally, there's another event in October where that stuff will be released. So way more stuff to come.
Got to prime the holiday buying.
Yeah, for sure there is so many solid rumors about the Mac Mini. For sure that's going to happen before the end of the year. And the rest of them will be revs. The iMac is due for a rev. The Mac, everybody says the iPad Mini, that's the other thing that's due for a rev. Okay, this is pertinent. New phones are coming. Should you get a new one?
I get asked this question a lot. When should I upgrade to a new iPhone? Well, there are two simple answers to that question. When you need to and when you want to. But sometimes the line between those two things gets a little blurred. But you know me, I don't like to live in the gray area too much, so let's just keep it simple. It's all a matter of balance. Hi, my name is Rich and I make easy to follow videos on how to use your iPhone and iPad, without going nuts. If you think videos like that might be helpful to you, then please consider subscribing. We're growing and I'm grateful to all of you who support this channel. Okay, today's video is all about figuring out when you should upgrade to a new iPhone. And I don't think the decision has to be all that hard. Every year Apple releases a new slate of iPhones and the whole world goes crazy buying them the minute they're available. I love iPhones, but prior to becoming a YouTuber, I didn't take that bait every year. And now I see all my younger relatives and friends snatching up the new iPhones left and right. But do we really need to be doing that? Again, for me, there's only two main reasons to upgrade: when you need to and when you want to. All right, let's get started. To me, needing to upgrade to a new iPhone occurs for only two main reasons as well. First is that your iPhone is damaged and doesn't perform properly. Maybe the screen is cracked or the charging port is not working as it should. Or more likely is not, maybe the battery just doesn't hold charge like it used to. And by the way, you can check your battery level anytime you want. If you just go into Settings and go to Battery and then look on Battery Health right here, tap on that and you'll see battery health is normal. Capacity is still at 100% on this phone because, it's a new iPhone. And it'll give you the cycle count and information about your battery. And that may be a reason you need to upgrade to a new iPhone. Or some other hardware issue that prevents the phone from working as it should. I think these kind of reasons fall into the I need to upgrade category. But even in these cases, you might be able to get a repair done for substantially less than the cost of a new iPhone. But there's no question taking that route is a hassle. And this is where things get a little blurry, and that's what I mean when I talk about balance. Here you have the cost of a new iPhone on one side of the scale and the hassle and cost of repair on the other side. Not to mention that you still have an older iPhone even after a repair. So there's just some things you have to balance out. The second reason is that there's a hardware or software feature that's only available on a new iPhone that you absolutely need. Now, one example of this might be the need for a better camera. I use this example cautiously because in the past I probably never would have included such a thing, mainly because most of the iPhones I've owned, the cameras were pretty good. But I have a grandson now, and having high quality photos and videos moved from the nice to have column to the I need column. He's growing quickly and I want to capture these moments before they're gone. And I want to do it in the best possible way I can afford. I'm sure you get the idea, but I get if this is a little bit of a blurry area for some of you. Artificial intelligence may be another big reason. There is so much talk around this. Again, I'm a little leery about adding this in, but according to Apple, when AI functionality is released in the near future, it'll be limited to the iPhone 15 Pro models and newer iPhones that follow. I'm guessing that all the AI features will be available on all iPhones, regardless if they're a Pro iPhone or not. But, that requires buying a new phone. And lest you think AI is going to be used to just answer, difficult questions about the universe and of no value to you, think twice. My bet is that AI will come in the form of a much more practical and usable version of Siri. Specifically for me, I'm hoping the new AI features will allow me to better manage my medications. Fortunately, I don't take many meds, but I do need my wife to remind me to take them every now and then. So that's just a long way to say it may be time to upgrade to a new iPhone if your current iPhone is broken and falling apart, or if it's so old there are new software features that'll not run on your old iPhone. If it's not broken and it works fine and suits you just as it is, then save yourself time and money and hang on to it until you decide it's time for a change. Okay, moving on to upgrading when you want to. That seems simple enough. You have the wherewithal to upgrade and you want to upgrade whether you need to or not, so, go ahead and upgrade. But for those of you who fall into this category, I'll share with you my experience. In the past, I never automatically upgraded annually to a new iPhone. But since I've been making these videos, I've been buying a new batch of iPhones every year. And I'll do the same thing this year, it just goes with the territory. But the one big thing I've noticed is that year over year, the actual practical changes really seem to be small. Sure, the cameras are better, but only a little better than last year. And the screens are brighter, but not enough to notice from last year's model unless you lay them side by side and take a look. And by the way, all the new iPhone software runs perfectly fine on last year's model. So is the newest iPhone better? Yes, it is, but that's not the question. The question is, should you upgrade? And I know this is not a popular position to take, but my sense is that it's almost never worth it to upgrade to a new iPhone if you're coming from an iPhone that's only a year or two old. At least it hasn't been for the last 3 or 4 years. I guess we'll see where AI takes us. I don't know about you, but every time some fancy new feature gets plastered all over TV, when I actually use that feature, it's a bit of a letdown. And man, right now you'd think the whole world is about to be taken over by artificial intelligence. Anyway, for those of you who just like to upgrade each year, more power to you. But if that's been your pattern in the past and then you find yourself a little let down by the newest iPhone, why not wait for people like me to spend a fortune on iPhones and then make review videos so that you can make an informed buying decision? Seems like a pretty solid thing to do. Well, new iPhones are just around the corner and only you know whether you need a new one or just want a new one. Either way, I hope this video helps you make a practical buying decision. Okay, that's a wrap. Thanks so much for watching and I'll see you in the next video.
Pretty common sense. Most of the iPhones are so good now. You really, unless you, like you said, if you really want the latest and greatest, the cameras are so good, they can easily last a couple of years and be perfectly fine. Kenji his is getting pretty old, so he's itching for a new one. Mine's getting real old, and we won't even run iOS 16, so it works fine. I shoot amazing video in the dark, shooting night kites in the Martinez Marina. It blows me away.
They're great.
What are great?
Those pictures of the kite.
Oh, the kite pictures? I'll show them to you after we go, if you want, later, after we go to Q&A. I'm on my Facebook page. If you're on Facebook, you can see them there. Here. Some of you have seen them. I don't usually post them on DVMUG. I probably should, huh?
Lee just said they're great.
Oh, he said he saw them. Who was that?
He said they're great.
Yeah. See, I don't see as many people without 2 screens. I just see one column. Anyway, comments, questions about that video? How many people are going to pony up for a new iPhone? Nobody? I can only see it about.
Well, I'm ready to pony up, but I'm torn whether to get an iPhone 15 Pro Max, because I can still get $830 trade-in value from T-Mobile, and I'm sure when they refresh their website to include the 16s, that my phone is the lowliest phone that still gets that amount. The older ones get $400. So that means that if I wait for an iPhone 16 Pro Max, it'll probably cost me $400 more. Yeah. And I'm wondering if that camera button is worth it.
And you can't wait to go look in the store because the deal may change by the time that happens.
Yeah.
Yeah, the deal may change.
My iPhone 11 battery is getting a little weak, so I'll be going for the 16 Pro.
Well, I still have it. Under Apple Care, so they replaced my battery recently for free. I've been paying monthly for Apple Care, so I probably bought a couple of batteries in Apple Care because that's the first time that I used Apple Care on this iPhone 11.
How much does it cost to have a battery replaced? Just out of pocket.
It depends on the phone.
Oh, how about my little SE?
Don't know.
Under 100.
Yeah,
Under 100?
Yeah, maybe about 79, something like that, 79 or 99.
Like 10 minutes and try it? Okay. Okay. All righty. Okay, good. Thanks.
Can you, Lori?
Yeah, muted. Got her. Go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead, Lori. Just muted you because you're.
I apologize. I got a
No
phone.
worries.
I turned it off because he said how to find out what your battery life was or if it was healthy or not. And I was trying to follow, but I didn't get it. So
you go to settings and then battery, and then there's battery health, and you press that, and it gives you a percentage.
I've got this. Okay, battery
Charging.
settings. Show battery level on home screen. Battery health. There we go. Battery health. Battery percentage.
Yeah, that should be on. And then you go down to battery health and charging. That's what my phone said.
What number does it show you for battery percentage?
Battery percentage. It says last charge to 100%. But right now it's at 50%.
No, it's under battery health.
Battery health.
I'm on battery health and charging. Okay, optimized battery charging clean. Maximum capacity is 87%.
87% is fine.
Okay, measure relative to when it was new.
Okay. Yeah, they generally consider you should consider replacing the battery when it gets below 80.
I see. Okay.
Mine's 83.
And replacing the battery or getting a whole new phone?
No, they can replace the battery.
Okay, that's much better. So the other thing is that my watch runs down before the day is over because somehow I touched something and all of my text messages are now coming through on my watch. And I am getting so many junk messages. I'm just so frustrated. I don't know what to do. So
I don't know that should affect the battery.
You don't think that would affect the battery? Okay.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, I turn it on when I go out for a walk to track my exercise. And when I'm in water aerobics, those days it runs down faster, obviously. But the battery watch seems to be running down faster than it should. Okay, so the other quick question I have is on my messages, because I'm getting so many messages, I'm trying to stop them. What is a better plan? Typing in stop and sending it? Or
no, don't engage. Don't engage with spam in any way.
Okay, so delete and it's junk. Your junk and delete. So
report junk. There's an option to report junk.
Yes.
Lori, can you hold this question till Q&A because it's not related
to
the
yes.
video?
I'm so sorry. Okay, yes, I will.
Okay, so we'll move on to the last video here and then we'll be in Q&A if we don't have any more comments. Okay, here we go. This is from Gary. How to find out what's new after a macOS update, which is going to happen Monday.
Hi, this is Gary with MacMost.com. Let me show you how to find out what's new after you've updated macOS or an app. MacMost is brought to you thanks to a great group of more than 2,000 supporters. Go to macmost.com/Patreon. There you could read more about it, join us, and get exclusive content and course discounts. Now on a Mac, after you've recently updated your system or maybe one of the apps that you use, you may be curious to find out what's new. Often this is shown to you right after the update, but we don't always have time to review that right there and then. So it's useful to be able to go back later and see what's new in the latest version, maybe even a few versions back. For instance, for macOS, if you go to the Apple menu at About This Mac, you'll get the version number here of macOS that you're using. But it won't show you what's new. Even clicking More Info won't show you. That just takes you to System Preferences and then General and then About. And then here you'll see the version that you're on. But nothing here gives you an indication of what's changed. When we're about to do an update, you can get information about what's going to change, but we don't always have time to look at that. For instance, here's an older Mac I've got, and I'm about to update the version of macOS on that, and I can get info on that update. But once I've updated and moved on, you can't really get back to this very easily. But Apple does have this information online, as you would expect. For instance, for versions of macOS Sonoma, you can go to this web page, and then you can see what the latest version is and what's changed. Plus, you can go back to earlier versions as well. You can go all the way back to the original release of macOS Sonoma and see a full list of what's updated since the last version of macOS. To find these pages, you can basically search for what's new in the update for macOS and then the name of the operating system. So let's go and try Monterey instead, and we'll see that the first result there takes us to the same page, a different URL, and this time it's all the updates for Monterey. I actually have a web page at macmost.com that lists all of the recent macOS systems, and there's a link, features and versions, for each one that takes you to these individual pages. So if you want to find the page for Ventura, you can go here and click on features and versions for it, and there are all the updates for Ventura. When you update to the current new full version of macOS, like going from Ventura to Sonoma or Sonoma to Sequoia, Apple always has this page at their site to show you all the new features. For instance, here's the one for Sonoma, and you could bet there'll be a similar one for Sequoia when that's released in the fall. The current page for the current version of macOS when you're seeing this video is usually easy to find from the front page of apple.com. And this page is usually a lot more colorful with an overview like this with lots of graphics and a PDF that goes into detail about a lot of the new features. Now, another place you can go to see this information is the App Store. If you go to the App Store and you search for the version of macOS, so for instance, Sonoma, it will come up here. If you go to the page for that download, you can go to version history, and then it's the same information here. Most of these updates here, you can click more and then get a list of what's changed. Another good source is always Wikipedia. If you go there and search for macOS and then the name of the operating system, like Sonoma here, it'll take you to the main page for that. And here you'll get a list of new features. This really works well for the entire operating system. So for instance, going from Ventura to Sonoma. It doesn't necessarily break it out nicely for each subversion here, but you can get more details and links to specific features sometimes. Also in the sidebar here, you've got a list of versions. You can show this and you can see all the macOS versions and jump to any of those pages. It's really helpful when you forget the name of one or the order in which they appeared. Now, how about for individual apps? Like what was new in the last version of Pages? Well, in the Mac App Store, you can search for an app, and obviously this is only for apps in the Mac App Store, and you get the same version history link here. So you can see what's new in all the different versions of Pages. And this works for Numbers, Keynote, GarageBand, iMovie, anything in the App Store. And this, of course, includes third-party apps. So if I search for Pixelmator Pro, for instance, and I go to that page, there's version history there, and I can see the developer's information for each new version. Now you can also often see this information in the Help menu for the app. So here I am in Pages, and if I go to Help, there's a What's New entry there, and this will take me to a summary of what's new. And usually there's a link here to go to a complete feature list, which will take me to a web page, the same web page I was looking at before. Now, for most apps, you should find this in the help menu, but some apps like to do their own thing. So for instance, here's Google Chrome, and instead they want you to click the three dots over here, go to help, and then under help, there's what's new. And then you could see what's new in the current version and go back to previous ones as well. For third-party apps, it's sometimes best to go directly to the developer's site, especially, of course, if they're not in the Mac App Store, so you can't look there. So, for instance, for Pixelmator, you've got this page here, which provides all the different updates and what's new in each one. Here's the equivalent page for Notion for Mac, so you could see all of the different new features in each version. And here's the page Adobe has for Photoshop, showing you what's new in each release. It's sometimes tricky to figure out where this information is for third-party apps. Sometimes it's in the About menu item. Sometimes it's in the Help menu. Sometimes it's on their website, but it can be in different places. Like, for instance, they may have a special place on their site to show you what's new, or it just may be part of their support or help pages. It's always a good idea, if you want to get the most from your Mac, to review what's new in each update. But I know we don't always have the time right there and then to do it. So it's good to be able to find that information later and review it. Hope you found this useful. Thanks for watching.
There you go. Questions, comments about this, or we'll move on to, that was the last video. I believe. I think so. Yeah. Anybody questions, comments about this or anything in the videos? Or
Does anybody know what's going to be new with, what's the next one? Sequoia?
go to Apple's website and they have an extensive, like he showed, pictures, graphics about everything that's coming. All
Yeah, but is anybody here? Well, okay, you don't have it because it's not out yet. When is it coming out?
Monday.
Monday, and it's Sequoia?
Yes.
I think several people here have been, I have not, but several people have been using the beta.
Yeah, Gary, I think I have it installed, but I haven't messed with it. Rick's been running it.
Yeah, Rick is running it.
It's a lot of the same things you've heard about iOS 18.
Yeah, I just checked. Rick was running it and said it was okay with the BBS, so I wanted to know it's always a concern. And it works fine on the iOS beta and the Sequoia beta, and I did it too and tried it, and it works fine.
Actually, since its very first developer beta, it has been completely stable. There have been very limited problems with it. It was mostly just features that hadn't yet been added.
That's a good thing to hear. Bugs have been worked out.
Even the 0.1 release with the Apple Intelligence, those are also very, very clean. There are very few problems with them.
Okay. Anything else? Shall we end this recording and go answer general questions? Anybody who's watching this on YouTube, DVMUG members, you can find the recording for the general Q&A on the BBS. And so I will now stop the recording. I'll stop my share, see if I can find the stop recording because they moved it. Okay, so that's pause, that's stop. Okay, see you later in the next recording.